Since joining the Formula One grid in 2015, Max Verstappen has put on a number of breathtaking displays that few other drivers have matched. In that period, the Dutchman has accomplished numerous breathtaking overtakes, finished on the podium 53 times, and experienced victory 17 times. His many fantastic drives made it virtually impossible to remember which races stood out, but here are our picks for the top 10. 10. 70th Anniversary Grand Prix 2020. In the first four races of the 2020 season, Mercedes dominated by winning every race. In the second half of the Silverstone doubleheader, it appeared as though they would win once more, but Max had other plans. The softer Pirelli tires immediately deteriorated on one of those rare hot British summer days, especially on the Mercedes car. Verstappen saw an opening and took it instead of his team's advice to protect his own tires, putting pressure on Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas to make early pit stops. In order to re-enter directly behind Bottas on newer tires and pass him right away, the Red Bull driver managed to extend his stint by almost twice as long as theirs did while keeping a respectable pace. Verstappen's success has frequently been attributed to his quick driving style and exhilarating overtakes, but on that particular day at Silverstone, it was his expert strategy and tire management that allowed him to defeat opponents driving more powerful vehicles. 9. Dutch Grand Prix 2021. Verstappen's victory at his first home Grand Prix wasn't quite one of the most thrilling victories, but it was still one of the most spectacular. He was dealing with some major pressure in Zandvoort. He needed to win not just because it was the first of two races at Mercedes strongholds that would come after it, but also because it was the first Dutch Grand Prix since 1985 and everyone in the country was counting on him to do it. But when I watched him, it didn't feel like there was any pressure. He didn't make a mistake the entire weekend, winning the pole position and never really appearing to be in danger of losing the race victory. An F1 driver must be able to handle pressure if he is to become truly great, and the Dutchman unequivocally demonstrated this ability here. 8. United States Grand Prix 2018. Starting from position 18, Verstappen produced a strong drive. A sequence of flawless overtakes allowed him to quickly move into the top 5 after just 7 laps. He then constantly kept up with the leader's pace to put himself in contention for the victory. In fact, he was in P2 with a few laps to go, just behind Kimi Räikkönen, but was obliged to defend rather than attack since Hamilton was following closely behind him on much fresher tires. He managed to hold off the British driver with a demonstration of defensive driving. Attacking, defending, pace, and tire management were all present in this drive, which wasn't even his greatest on American soil. 7. Mexican Grand Prix 2018. Verstappen excels in few, if any, locations on the calendar better than Mexico City, and that was quite clear in 2018. Because of how skilled he is there, he fully anticipated securing his first pole position and was enraged when teammate Ricciardo stole it on Saturday. But that rage served as fuel for him, and it resulted in one of his most commanding performances to date. He took the lead right away, immediately drew away, and then shot off into the distance. At one point, he even made a pit stop ahead of the rest of the race. In fact, it is so good that there isn't much else to say. For the entire day, he was, to put it mildly, in a league of his own. 6. Brazilian Grand Prix 2019. He appeared to be up against the gods in his attempt to capture a long overdue victory at Interlagos in 2019, but he still won. He started from pole position, but Hamilton overtook him after the Williams of Robert Kubica blocked him in the pit lane. He regained the lead by overtaking the British driver at turn 1, though. He continued to lead and appeared to be winning until his team decided to pit him during a late safety car while Hamilton remained outside, once more placing him behind the Mercedes driver. But once more, he overtook the field, this time with a stunning maneuver around the outside of turn 1. The odds were stacked against him that day, yet he was so valiant that they were powerless to stop him. 5. Austrian Grand Prix 2019. After getting a front row start at the Red Bull Ring, Verstappen was confident about his prospects of winning. He did win, but it took quite the drive. He made a bad start and dropped to P9, giving himself a mountain to climb. With just over 20 laps remaining and him in P4, it appeared as though he would fail. However, the late charge began with faultless moves on Bottas and Vettel. With just 2 laps remaining, the Dutchman took the lead with one of his best maneuvers ever, dummying to the outside before moving to the inside at the last second and squeezing through. He quickly pulled away from them after that and caught Charles Leclerc. This was truly classic Verstappen, with his fast pace and exhilarating maneuvers. 4. Hungary Grand Prix 2022. From 10th on the starting grid, Max Verstappen rallied to win the Hungarian Grand Prix and increase his drivers' championship lead. The Dutchman had to make numerous passes, but he is now so assured and in charge that it almost felt like he was playing games with the enemy, Leclerc the unfortunate, who was only briefly out of reach of his claws. Verstappen spun mid-race, losing a position to Leclerc that he had just gained, only to settle and pass him again, and then he marched down the track to take his 8th victory of the year from 13 races. He admits he did not expect to win the race. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, the two members of the Mercedes team, came in second and third, respectively. Both drivers agreed that the team is making outstanding progress toward catching up to competitors Red Bull and Ferrari. 3. Brazilian Grand Prix 2016. This race is another recovery drive, but this one perhaps stands above the rest as we move into the best of the best. He managed to find more traction than anyone else in the extremely slick circumstances, as evidenced by his breathtaking pass on Nico Rosberg, one of the best recent examples of the sport. He rose to P2 as a result, but his team's bad decision-making caused him to fall back to P16. What happened next was amazing. He managed to move up 13 positions in just 16 laps, all in extremely risky conditions, and was once 2 seconds faster than everyone else on the circuit. Toto Wolff claimed that physics are being rewritten, while Christian Horner praised it as one of the best drives I've ever seen in F1. Must we say anything else? 2. Spanish Grand Prix 2016. He won his debut race for Red Bull, making history as the youngest race winner ever. Even when the two Mercedes drivers' early crashes were fortunate for him, he still had a lot to do. He did it all flawlessly while appearing astonishingly at ease in what to him appeared to be a brand new car to hold off Raikkonen's Ferrari. The idea that he had only spent 2 days in the car prior to the race is mind-blowing, especially when you consider how other drivers have suffered after joining Red Bull since then. This would have been a wonderful drive if he had been in it since the beginning of the season. He handled a lot of strain at the age of 18 and was as quick as teammate Daniel Ricciardo. He also played flawless defense against Kimi Räikkönen. The fact that he would later become a star was obvious at the time. 1. Abu Dhabi Grand Prix 2021. His best ever drive, in our eyes, was his first championship. A spectacular and contentious season came to a fitting end in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton appeared to be headed towards a straightforward victory and his 8th world title. A safety car was dispatched as a result of Nicolas Latifi's late crash. With newer tires, this put Verstappen close behind Hamilton. Because the race was restarted on the final lap and Verstappen passed the Brit, it ended up being the deciding factor. Both the race and the world title were won by Verstappen. As a result, the Red Bull racing driver becomes the first Dutch champion in the history of the sport and ends Mercedes' dominance after 7 years.